Hello everyone, watch this review here with a look at both Raphael and Leonardo from Playmate's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Classics line. Now obviously the two figures are sold separately and everything, but I'm reviewing them at the same time because, they share the same basic mold, and I don't feel like reviewing them separately as a result, especially considering I reviewed Michelangelo and, he also shares the exact same mold, so let's get this underway. Here's a reminder of what the packaging looks like for this line. It's just a really cool looking box art with a nice vintage feel to it. Of course, you won't very often see this at retail because for some reason a lot of places don't carry the 6-inch line. For a while I actually thought that they weren't going to keep going with it, but recently Playmates announced that they would be doing a Bebop and Rocksteady as well, so that's great for so many reasons. The first being that Bebop and Rocksteady are probably my favorite villains for the show. Something about them was always really fun. Now, the same basic criticisms that I had for the Michelangelo also apply to Raph and Leo. The biggest being the joints just aren't terribly stable. They just feel kind of loose, which at times will make them sort of hard to stand. Of course, generally when you first sort of pose them and stuff, you have a really hard time. Then after they're posed, try to say, "Oh, I have a hard time posing them," and they aren't doing anything. So, yeah, they only fall over when you aren't looking, or when the camera's not looking. At any rate, basically the same figure, just like with Michelangelo. You will notice that the skin tone is different. I can't recall if they had different skin tones in the show. You probably did. Obviously, they have their colored bandanas, sashes, and all that, and the customized belts. Raph has these two sides, which can stick into the front there, just like in the cartoon. Leo's two katanas going to the sheaths on his back. In general, the two of the head sculpts that I've seen, I definitely like Raph's the best. Something about it's just really neat. I mean, it ain't so much like the Michelangelo one, and I think the Leo one kind of suffers as well. And before you ask, no, I still haven't picked up Donatello. I picked up 3 of these. There we go. At a time when, buy 3, just like get the third one free or get the third one half off or something, Toys R Us. So I figure, I'll pick up these 3 right now. I'll get Donatello from someplace else for a bit cheaper, because Toys R Us likes to rip off its customers, or at least the local one near me does. Everything's like $2 more than any other retailer. It's absurd. But I still haven't gotten around to picking them up. Something about Leo's expression just seems kind of off. And by the way, if you do buy these online, just don't actually, because even in stores and stuff, when you're looking at them, they can have crazy eye defects. There are some like 4 Leonardos there, and this was the one with the best eyes, and even these eyes I don't think look all that great. They just don't have really obvious flaws with them. But I mean, the placement will just be random, like some are far off. The eye size, pupils can be a lot larger, like they're dilated or something. It's just really a mess. At any rate, the amount of articulation in these guys is really cool. If they could, in fact, just balance and pose easily, I would absolutely love them. And also, I can't say that I'm fond of the fact that they have difficulties standing straight up at times because the shell sort of forces their legs out. Now, since they have articulated fingers, it does make the weapons, kind of interesting to hold. And they can get a decent grip at times, and it will allow you to sort of place a side between his fingers and stuff. At the same time, it won't hold it all that securely because the joints kind of loosen with time and all that. And also they can just generally be difficult to deal with. But as you'll see, these are individually articulated fingers, which is great, and then you have a sort of extra joint here holding them in, which has a little bit of rotation. The thumb is on a ball socket. A ball socket as well here at the wrist. Mostly just rotates, but as you can see, Also has some forward back. It's mostly this piece holding in place. A double pin here at the elbow. Rotation at the bicep. You will notice it's a really tiny shoulder joint, which is good for additional motion. Kind of get a full range there. We have a torso joint, but because the torso doesn't go across the shell on the back, it sort of limits what you can do, so it's basically just forward motion. Head is on what seems to be a physical ball, but it's really limited. Then we have a sort of ball socket here at the hip, point of rotation to upper thigh, double pin at knee. Good range, good mount forward back at ankle. Now they thought there was foot pivot, but for some reason I'm not getting on him. Maybe there's no foot pivot. But given you have a pretty tremendous range on it, it's not an issue. Then we have individually articulated toes. Once again, all in all, really good figures in some senses. In other senses, basically the fact that they do have some serious stability issues, which largely results from the fact they have these ginormous shelves and stuff, and the joints themselves are kind of weak. That does definitely hurt the figures. I mean, overall, these are still great things that, if you were a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, you'd want to own regardless of, their shortcomings, but, just be aware that they do have these shortcomings. By the way, here's a look at his katana, one of them. So, I mean, that's pretty neat. I know that they said they can hold their weapons pretty well, but, when they do hold them, occasionally it won't look all that natural. But they can hold their weapons, and that's really the important part. But yeah, until next time, folks.